Welcome to program Pulse and Dance. I'm Valentina Kozlova, founder of VKDF and VKIBC. And let's get started. Today on Pulse and Dance, it's my pleasure to introduce Victoria Simon of Balanchine Trust. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you're actually a very legendary person because you were the first person to start to stage Balanchine ballets. Am I correct?
I was not actually the first.
You were not the first, but
no.
you were
one of the very first,
Okay.
though. Yes, definitely.
So, Victoria, how did it happen? Because George Balanchine was busy to stage his ballets in other places.
When I was in the company, the last couple of years, I would sometimes help out in rehearsals, and I also helped with the children in Nutcracker. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that a company in Cologne, Germany, run by Todd Bollender, wanted to do Nutcracker. And so Balanchine asked me if I could stage Nutcracker for him. So I went over to Germany and staged the whole thing. That was my first. And then Balanchine came over for the last week of dress rehearsals. And I had to change something. What happens in Nutcracker, the little boy who plays the prince has this big pantomime in the second act. And the little boy that I was working with could not learn the pantomime. He was a little too young and he just couldn't learn it. But the little girl who was playing Marie was very smart. So I said, I'm going to have her tell the story of how they got there. So she did it. Instead of he normally says, she, me, comforted. So she went, I, him, comforted, that kind of thing. And just changed. He saw the mice. And he killed it. So I had to change, just to make it, sense. So when Mr. B came for the last rehearsals, I told him about this. I said I had to do this, and he was fine with it because the show had to go on. And so that was my first staging, and I had to change something. I felt terrible, but Mr. B was fine with it. So that started my staging career.
That was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
I'm not surprised what you're telling me because as we all come from the world, Balanchine came, and then obviously, now I came. Right. That's how it works. Like you stage ballet or coach works with you, and because of abilities or whatsoever, that they change, as you said.
I think that's one of the very few times I had to change something. I mean, companies are vetted now that they have to be at a certain level so that they actually do the ballet correctly. Mm-hmm. So I don't change anything, but I do have sometimes different versions of things, and you want to make the dancer look as good as possible. So if I have a choice of steps, or even simple things like in theme and variations, there's a pas de chat and it can be a gargliade. Mm-hmm. And it can also be a cease or an enchicot in her first variation. Yeah. So you work with the dancers that you have, and if they love doing gargliade, fine. But if they can't really do one, or if they can't do a cease, then there's a version with enchicot. Yeah. So that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's totally totally acceptable.
I mean, that's just common sense. You want to make the dancers look as good as possible.
Yeah, that is true. So you stage all Balanchine or specific Balanchine?
I've staged about 25 different ones. Some a little bit more. I've staged Serenade a lot, and Concerto Barocco and Allegro, and Four Temperaments, Theme and Variations, those ballets I've staged quite often. Some less so. It varies from year to year as
Yeah,
to what I
yeah.
end up doing.
Yeah, I when I was with New York City Ballet, I was considered as a tutu ballerina. So I danced mostly uh,
Tutus.
tutus or romantic dresses. Uh, so my very first ballet was actually Jerry Robbins' Fall in Four Seasons, and it was very familiar to me because it's just a bravura pas de
Right.
deux. So that went well, but second performance was first section of Symphony and C.
I actually have you on tape.
You have it, okay,
Yes, I
wow.
do.
It's amazing. That was very interesting because John Taras still was there. And John, of course, was very good friends with Balanchine. And so we became friends. And John taught me the way he was teaching me. And right before the performance, Peter came in. And the argument started between two of them, and I just stayed and I watched. What actually was first time in my life, because in Bolshoi was kind of like, you know, what to do, and everybody accept this version or a little
Right.
bit adjusted. But here it was like a war between two people, and I thought, I didn't say it, but I thought, well, just make up your mind. I don't really necessarily care. I just need
Right.
the steps to do correct. I don't even know which version I did, Jones
Maybe
or
a combination.
maybe it was combination, but it was interesting. But for me, because it's kind of familiar zone because there's not one dancer alike. And obviously, Balanchine did adjustments, say, for Karen or Suzanne or Meryl. Somewhere, yeah, there's a skeleton and those steps, but little variations. And same thing was when I doing a concerto barocco, doing second movement of Symphony and C and Apollo was with Suzanne. And she was really working with me, Victoria, like I used to in Russia, exactly the same way. And I thought, well, I guess it's a Balanchine influence on her. So she would say, for example, you know, you step on a croisé, right? In Balanchine, I understood you step on your front leg. While in the classics, you step on your back leg and front leg goes here. So automatically I go like left, right. And she will say, well, it should be right, but it doesn't matter. I said, oh, okay. So I'll do my way. So there was like ways to go. But it was difficult to switch the accents in Balanchine
Right.
choreography.
The musicality is but
Music.
I think once you get that musicality, it just makes so much sense, I think.
Yeah, for me, what made sense, according to when I talked to Mr. Balanchine before I even joined the company, was that when he started his company, right, which wasn't called New York City Ballet yet, he was getting dancers from all other places.
Right.
So it wasn't like the same school. And to be able to connect them, that's how One Goes Down came, because it was easy to do one and, for example, under chassis rather than go under chassis up, which
Right.
would be in classical ballet. And I thought, yeah, that is true. But the interesting thing was when I started to dance, that as much as strong technicality I had or whatsoever, my legs were getting numb. Really, yeah, footwork, I understand, and I'm so glad I learned that,
Right.
because it's like fantastic. But in the beginning, that I would be dancing even on stage, thinking I'm doing automatically. I don't know where my legs are.
That happened to me many times. I
Really?
would say, I hope my feet are pointing. I'm trying to point them, but I'm not feeling them at all.
Yeah,
I think just because maybe there is just so much footwork.
yeah, that's true.
You know, there is just so much.
So what? How do you see, and in your opinion, Balanchine influence in the West, and especially in the United States?
Oh, I think he influenced so many people. I think, even Forsyth, I think, got influenced from him. And whether it's conscious or not, it might be even an unconscious thing, because his influence at the School of American Ballet also influences all those dancers. And then they come up through the company, and some of them start choreographing. And I think that sense of the music being so important, I think that's one of the big things.
The way that, I mean, of course, I was much younger when I came into the company. The way I've seen it, at the time, there were many of Russian descent teachers and coaches, and he relied on them. And I do remember that he asked me to help Alexandra Daniilova in variations, and I helped when she staged White Swan. And he also wanted me to continue when she couldn't, to do variations in general for
Well, I think he really loved that connection. I mean, Russia was in his soul, it's part of him.
That's right.
And that's why he loved Tchaikovsky so much, and Stravinsky, even though Stravinsky, took the Russian music to a different place, but
Right.
that influence is there. Oh, definitely. He was Russian, so let's not
he
forget
was,
that.
he was Russian, like really in his soul, and but when I talked to him, we had some like long talks. Interesting, that he told me that I remind him of like imperial time. Of course, I wasn't from imperial time, and of course, my curiosity as a young girl was like, who? And he says, no one particular. It's just the type, and my feeling was that he wanted to have, like, still continue to work with someone that from his
I think
early
that
days.
connection was important.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
And
Much as he loved America and American dancers and everything, there was still that connection always there, I think,
right.
to what he grew up with.
So I asked him a question. I said to him, it's completely new, it's fascinating. I don't think I can dance this. And because he was inviting me to his company. And he was surprised I didn't ask him first, like when I defected. And it didn't enter my head at the time, because I didn't know much about Western world and US. And that particular conversation, I was saying that I don't think I can do it. And he said, no, I will be around, just be yourself. But so then subsequently I asked question that, what's up with the arms? Because he's coming from Russian school. And he said, oh, I don't pay attention, Shura does, Alexandra Daniilova. Yeah. And there's like, of course, was Tumkovsky and Dudina, who were like sort of like helping at the time. So I understood that he was experimenting in classes with not necessarily of sequence of steps the way it should be, but in his own brain, that he was experimenting. Can I push that way or can I push that way?
Right.
And creating choreography, which was, for me, having specific school and training, it was hard, but it was very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that, to my opinion, that I can't say that it's a Balanchine school. I will say it's a Balanchine style of dance.
Also, each ballet to me has a different style. I mean, you dance serenade in one way, and if you agon, you don't dance serenade and agon in the same way, because they're just so different. And one has such attack, and there's romantic. So each ballet has a style. There's a Balanchine technique, but I sometimes to say that a Balanchine style doesn't fit every ballet. Each ballet, because of the music, I think, has its own style.
That's true.